Hello. So as this session during the day we saw, this is about variety of technologies, some of them addressed towards small industries, some of them towards larger industries. But then when there is a startup ecosystem that's happening in every city, India is considered a country of startups today. They have many many approaches to solving problems around us. They have many technologies available. Existing problems with new technologies are being solved. New problems are coming, like, for example, the issue of refrigerants. Refrigerants are changing, as you would know, or for that matter, new technologies like AI, ML, I mean, we're beaten to death. We all know about that. So how are they disrupting the economy? How are they providing new opportunities? All these are issues for us, especially for the youngsters. So first, let me share with let me share with you what we are doing at IIT Gandhinagar in terms of supporting startups, and then I will request Dr. Vijaya Laxmi to share what's happening in CCMB at Hyderabad. So the IIEC, which is the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center at IIT Gandhinagar, largely looking at supporting startups and ideas. This started about 7 years back, if I remember right, not 5 years, 7 years back. And at that point of time, I've been associated with it maybe for 5 to 6 years now. At that point of time, I was thinking, are there any IIT Gandhinagar students here? Ah, lovely. Okay. At that point of time, let me face you on that. At that point of time, I was thinking that the Entrepreneurship Center is meant for the students of IIT Gandhinagar. That's the thought I had. And very quickly, I realized that I was wrong, because the students who were coming in were having their own aspirations. They may or may not like to do a startup. Some of them may want to take up a job. Some of them may want to do higher studies, whatever, the whole spectrum of things. So we said that the IIEC at IIT Gandhinagar would be thrown open to all types of industries across in Gujarat area, and maybe part of Rajasthan too, maybe part of Madhya Pradesh too, which is what we did for the last 4 years, 5 years. We have been with that mindset. And obviously, there are many of you who have your own ideas, and you want to discuss that with somebody, cry on somebody's shoulder, think about it, whatever. So you need some sounding board. So that is me and my colleague Anand. So that's the way we started. Of course, they have government programs like Nidhi Prayas and various other schemes, which all help you to look at a problem. And if you want some funding that's available, all that is possible. Now, this is all structured. When we started, it was a bit ad hoc. Right now, it is more structured. And I'll share with you what is it like. There are also companies in the private and public sectors which are coming to IIT Gandhinagar and saying, hey, we want to do a hackathon, or we want to do something else. We want to do yet another initiative. So how can we work together? So that's happening, for example, with Boeing. You can do a startup not necessarily in the 4th year after you have found out you don't know what to do. So you want to buy some time, and then you do a startup. That has happened. And we can recognize it. You can talk to the students and you can make out. Some of the students in the year 1, they were doing some Agarbatti project. I don't know whether you heard of that. So Agarbatti project was a stopgap arrangement. I'm about to finish my BTech. I don't know whether to do an MS. I want to do IAS. My dad is telling me to do MBA. There is a 2-year gap in between. So let me do a startup. And there are people like that too. There were also a student of IIT Gandhinagar. In the 2nd year, he did a startup. Year 2. And by the time he had year 3, he had already done some revenues and he was profitable. After 5 years from then, now, of course, now he's stagnated and he's now trying to find out how to do better. I'm still in touch with him, by the way. Another person went and raised some equity. He sold his company for $150 million. You know who that is, Shaurya. And he has made many of the participants rich, very rich. And same with many others too. So, a lot of success. How do I summarize this? This was best summarized by an industry veteran, R.A.Venkitachalam, who was the chairman of Microsoft in India till about 5 years back. He said something recently which is very striking. He said, only the very brave would today take up a job, because the jobs are changing so fast, ChatGPT, whatever else you want to call it. Jobs which of today are not there tomorrow. Average duration in a company is reduced to a much lower time. So there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty with jobs today. Unlike that, if you've got an idea and if you're going to do something of your own, you're sure of what you're doing, you're sure of the market that you're addressing, so on. So you're far more sure on surer footing on what you're trying to do, what you're going to achieve, so on and so forth. So he said publicly about 2-3 weeks back that only the very brave would blindly take up a job in that sense. I mean, you have to read it with a pinch of salt in what he says. Otherwise, you might have to do like what Narayana Murthy said, 70 hours a week. That's up to you. So anyway, that's not a debate. Okay, so what's the point that I'm trying to say? The point I'm trying to say is an entrepreneurship was at one point of time for a business family, for somebody who had a very sure financial footing, or for somebody who had no other go, or for some people it was a hobby, just try it out, what's happening. Today, I think it's more structured. There is a program that IIEC is giving. Let me talk to you about it very briefly before I pass on to Dr. Vijaya Laxmi. So anybody who has got an idea would like to try it out, IIEC welcomes you. A student of IIT Gandhinagar, a student outside of IIT Gandhinagar, not a student at all. There is also a matriculation pass person who had an idea and we incubated him. So today he has passed through and so he doesn't have to be, without any denomination being considered, you're welcome. Once you are having an idea which you have discussed, there is of course a small formality for filling up a form, which you can do. What we do is we give you a 90 days, once you are into IIEC's fold, we give you a 90-day period during which time you can socialize your idea, you can talk to many people, find out if this is something really worth it. Otherwise, you may be thinking that your idea is great. Once you talk to more people, you may find it is great, but that but will come and then ... So you will understand that but question much better once you discuss with somebody. That could be somebody from the industry, could be a professor here, could be another student, could be someone who has seen a bit of the industry. I'm not saying that experience is always good, but then it gives you the ability to ask certain questions which you may not think of otherwise. So during this 90-day period, if you want to have some a little bit of money to check out something, we may be able to give that at IIT. But at the end of 90 days, you are fairly certain that you want to pursue this. Iska chance hai. I can pursue this and see. And you can be a second-year student, a first-year student, whatever. Now, post that, you enter an 18-month period, roughly 12 to 18-month period, during which time there is definitely some funding available. There is a lot of mentorship available, be it technical, be it lab facilities, be it a maker bhavan, whatever is it that you want to use. So you go in a step-by-step phase. There is academic input available to you, which is in the form of classes. One of them is EM 101, which is the Entrepreneurial Mindset 101. This is a program that I have done about 3 years back and repeated a few times. Now, what is this about? When you're an entrepreneur, you are ready yourself in a certain way in terms of understanding opportunities, understanding issues, understanding what is cash flow, what is margin, a little bit of commerce, a little bit of technology, so on and so forth. Largely, the technical piece, we leave it to yourself. But then the other parts, that's where we fill in with academic input and a lot of interaction with industry people. You saw that B.V. Jagdish was here last week, and you could see what sort of interaction happened. He's a well-known entrepreneur from Silicon Valley, as many of you would know. And like that, many others. If you have an idea and you want to speak to a potential customer, that's something a Venki or Anand would come in and say, hey, why don't you speak to the XYZ person? You might want to speak to somebody in Tata Steel or in Mahindra or with Cochin Refineries, whoever that might be. Then we can facilitate that sort of discussion. At this point of time, very often students worry about where will money come from. So I tell them, don't worry about the money. If you've got an idea, money will come. But is your idea good enough? So like the old, the gold leaf check for its purity, right? You check your idea, rubbing against potential customers, competitors, studying the market, analyzing the market, so on and so forth. And now In the first 6 months, you have gone through this phase and you are still keen on pursuing this. At this point of time, we go to the next phase where we actually see that you are having enough of prototypes developed. There is more serious market testing and so on. At the end of about 12 months, we ready you for a pitching session, where you are able to present your ideas to potential investors, potential customers. This may be 12 months, maybe 15 months. It depends. Depends on the project and the idea that we are working about. By about 18 months, we tell the entrepreneur, hey, I think you have spent enough time here now. So now you better make up your mind. You want to do this path or you want to do the other path, whichever is it that you want to do. And 18 may become at times 21, but it is seldom beyond that. At this point of time, we tell them that, yeah, you need to go to the next level. So this is a very structured hand-holding program. The most important out of it are things like you interacting with industry folks. That's the key. That's the key. That's when the rubber meets the road, as they would say. So you have to see that your ideas are tested. You have to see that they stand the test of a customer's application, their usage conditions, so on. It has to generate adequate potential for profits. So the unit cost economics should work out. The product market fit should work out, so on. Some nomenclatures that you will be exposed to in the sessions there. If required, you could also be connecting with other universities, other companies outside of India or inside of India. A lot of IIT alumni are interested in working with you at this stage. I have seen this happening at Madras, IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, and elsewhere, Delhi. So alumni are interested in investing in you, in trying to support you, so on. And there are some very good ideas that have come up too. Even from IIT Gandhinagar, there are some very good ideas which have come in and they are all outside, be it a PhD student who has converted his idea to a company, or be it a BTech student who has started his company when he was in second year, and he's the CEO of that company. It's only a small company, maybe 5-6 crores revenue as of now, but profitable. So I think he's now got to worry about how to scale it up further. I think I've taken more time than what I had intended. I would now request, so there's a lot more of interaction we can have after we hear Dr. Vijaya Laxmi and CCMB.
Thank you. Actually, CCMB was the first CRTDH in 2014. CCMB has taken up as the first thing to open the CRTDH. And we have a very good success stories for the MSMEs. This the process for in the CCMB is that means the students of the CCMB only who has been finished their PhD, they have started, most of the people have continued their ideas as a opening up their own ideas and with a group of people working on that. So like that, we had a very good MSMEs like that. So internal students, we know everyone and they know who are all the expertise in the CCMB in that field. So they used to take the advice from the so-and-so scientist in their field. So like that, we have started initially. And being a CCMB within the city, and we have an IKP park outside the city. So most of the people or the students prefers to take the space in the CCMB CRTDH. So within the city, this is an advantage for the people because it is near to the Osmania University, near to the other CSIR institutes and other universities and colleges also. So this is a part of that. Most of the people prefer to be in the CCMB. So here what we do generally, we advertise to the social media. So recently we have gone to the Warangal and other Telangana regions, especially the engineering colleges, like a hackathon. And we have advertised that to encourage the youngsters with the new idea and technology. Means if they have an idea, we are ready to support you. So in that base, we used to call all the students and we used to have a workshop where they can interact with us and we'll have the few expertise with us also in whichever field the people are interested and they can interact with us and we support them for the financially, like a Spurge. So which we give us 5 lakhs initially for the students. And few people have come up with really good ideas, the college students. But few people have come with the dumb ideas also. For example, I can give one bakery person. He said, I can make a better pizzas than what we get it in the society. Then we asked him, what kind of a better means? But he said he won't explain anything. But he says, give me the amount, I can make the better pizza. Then we have told them, come up with some other idea. Means in which way you want to improve that pizza and commercialize whatever. Then he said, no, I want to improve my shop only, he says. Bakery shop he wants to increase. For that, he was asking us the funding. Then we said, means politely only, we can't ignore such people also because we are openly advertising that for the fellowships and all. So like that, we all face a few problems also with the people who comes with the stupid ideas. I can't say stupid idea. For them, it isn't a good idea. But for us, funding for such things, we can't. So like that, whoever comes with a good ideas, we have the expertise panel where we have a technical advisory committee. We'll call from CCMB as well as the external candidates, and we'll have an appointment with them. We'll discuss with them their ideas and we'll screen. So every 3 months we does this, and we'll get many applications from various areas, fields. Means medical field only, not in any other. Then we'll screen them and we'll call for that. And recently we had a Sparsh fellowship. We have given 8 students, 8 of them Sparsh. So we have given initially 10 lakhs. So like this, CCMB has CRTDH means it's been chosen as a center for from the BIRAC, all these big grants and all, all these things, SCR also. So such the people will approach us and we'll screen them and we'll try to fit them into the whichever the fellowship they are suitable. In that way, we encourage MSMEs. And means whoever we have taken, most of them 80% have been success in their prototype, developing the prototype. Only 20%. But even that 20%, we don't want to lose a limb. We'll advise them to change their idea. If it's not feasible working on that, we'll only support them and we'll make them to change their idea and put it in a right way. Even they will accept in such way. So in that way, we mutual understanding for each of us. So we'll be in connecting with each other like that. So in that way, and we have all the facilities where they give them the opportunity to within the rental space, means whatever the price giving for the rental, the space, in that only they can use all the facilities. So CCMB has an animal house, Drosophila lab, proteomics, microarray, and sequencing, and all the such highly facilitated instrumentations. So we won't charge much to our MSMEs compared to the outsiders. So it's a reasonable price and it's easily accessible because CCMB has a very good instrumentation group. Other institutes and all the universities, they don't have the centralized instrumentation. But in our CCMB, whoever the scientist writes the project, whichever we get the funding, we are supposed to buy the instruments for the centralized facility. Means everyone has the right to use it. It's not in our group only, it has to be. Each and small instrument should be access to everyone. It's a centralized facility. In that way, we are very well benefited by having such a good instrumentation group. So if we have any problem with the instrument, minor instruments, immediately our group will rectify the problem and it will be access to the MSMEs. So in that way, these people are benefited from the CCMB also. So in that way, the CCMB is helping the MSMEs and supporting them financially also, and making, if they have started with a Sparsh or Prayas, Nidhi Prayas, 10 lakhs, and once they have developed the prototype further improvement, they can big grant also they are getting. So in such way, they are very well benefited. And we have once in a while, at least once in 2 months, Cafe Mandela workshops like that. So gathering the startups, interacting among themselves, and exchanging their ideas, all such programs will do it. So mostly we all organize the workshops very shortly, and we'll call sometimes expertise also. For example, Nalsar Law University is there. We'll help for them IPR also, intellectual property rights also, how to patent the things and all the things also we'll help them. And we'll call the expertise and guide them to how to deal the things and all the things. So such things we keep on doing. And recently, as I have mentioned in my slides, MSMEs have come up with a nice products, particularly BioSif during the pandemic situation. Yeah, they have developed the PCR kit, RT-PCR kit. Within a no time we can, because when we used to give for the RT-PCR, it used to take time 2 days for the COVID positive or negative we have to detect. So in that way, they have put a lot of effort bringing the RT-PCR kit with the quick detection method. So like that, they have helped us also. And we also worked on the mRNA vaccine. Recently, Nobel laureate Dr. Kaira got in the mRNA vaccine only. She got the Nobel Prize. But we could divert our mRNA vaccine to some other disease right now, not for the COVID, since they got the Nobel. So now we are moving to the dengue fever and all the things. So whether we can use that same thing technology to the other diseases or infective diseases like that. And one more company was that Alton Biotechnology Limited, I think. Yeah, that company has actually from the IICT, that person has come. He was a PhD student from the IICT, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad, CSIR Institute. So they have developed the water grade, type 1 and type 2 water grade, purifying the system as an instrument. So they have come up with that idea saying that we don't have any financial support in our institute, but we have just this prototype has been developed. We want to further improve that and sell it into the market. Then we said, yes, okay, we'll help you in getting the finance. So they have started with the Sparsh Fellowship. So they have come out with a very nice prototype that, and that has been released into the market. And the NIMS is the one of the best medical sciences institute in Hyderabad that has taken up. They have started using for the dialysis. In such a way, this MSMS has worked out very well. And one more thing is Onco Smith Private Limited that has worked on the protein drugs for the cancer, initial stage of the cancer to detect. That also has come out very well into the market, sir. But how far they have been released in the market, I don't know exactly. They have the IPR rights and all the things. And the prototype is ready to release into the market. So they are trying to release into the market for the early detection of the cancer. These are some experience from the CCMB, CRTDH. If anything else you want to know, please ask me, which I may forgot, I think. True.
Over to you for questions. Please shoot. Yes, sir.
Loud enough to reach.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were discussing just now, some time back, that about the question I raised. There are a few ingredients which we frequently import from China. Those are normally prepared by either by biotechnology or by enzymatical synthesis. So are these type of biotechnological also is catered or can be incubated into CCMB
definitely.
system?
Definitely. One of the group now, MSMEs is working on the enzymes only as a drug.
Okay.
Yeah. So my field is actually, I'm a organic chemist initial background.
I see.
But I jumped into the CCMB and where I could learn all the biology techniques. I usually used to work on the nanotechnology. I have developed one biosensor for the triglycerides detection. So we are much more interested in the point of care. For example, means if you take the sample to the lab and to do all the chemical test on and all the things, instead of that, like a glucometer or whatever, just take the blood sample there itself only we can detect few of the things. Like that, we are interested in doing these things. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, sir. I'm Rutvik. I'm a first year MTech biological engineering student here. So I have been working on a personal project of mine for the past 4 years, let's say. During COVID pandemic as well, there was a ideathon organized by Government of India where we were supposed to submit ideas and upon potential, they would come up with solutions and fund and all. What happened with me was I passed the first stage and they came up with like they wanted a prototype of it. The idea that I was working on is something very niche and it requires a huge setup of laboratories. I come from Hyderabad, so I'm familiar with what CCMB does and all. So what's my question is, given that biology research is very expensive, for a specific person or a student to start working on it, how do we approach it? And even after, like, let's say I have a prototype per se, which is very highly unlikely to happen. But yeah, let's say I have a prototype. For me to set up a lab and scale it up, it's very expensive and it's very big. How do we go about it is one question. Two, we've been talking about students can come up with ideas, explore them under their masters or BTech level or PhD. But when I have interacted with people from industry, I've been visiting two conclaves. BioAsia is a very big this thing. Many people have came back at me telling that you're just a BTech or an MTech. Come complete your PhD, and then let's figure out what could happen out of this. How necessary for a person, like, let's say I have a little experience and expertise on that. Given a proper guidance, I think I believe in myself that I can come up with something. But then everybody is saying, hey, complete your PhD, complete your research, and then come back with like, how do we deal with that, and what is necessary and important is my question.
Nice question. Maybe you would like to respond
No,
first?
first you can respond.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I agree with you that in biological sciences, in my limited experience, or in medical, anything that has got to do with patients and treatment and so on, there is obviously a longer gestation period. As an example, I am currently working with a company which is into cardiac monitoring. Now, cardiac monitoring, that company is into for 10 years now and has just hit the market and got an order from a large company, Medtronic. But it took 10 years. And the person was with good experience, Tata LC, no PhD, only an engineer. So it does take much more time. Whereas another friend of mine, also IIT, the first one is not an IIT Gandhinagar student. The second one is I'm going to talk about now. He sold his company for $150 million in 3 years. So, of course, that's more in fintech. So I'm associated with both, but I see the difference. So I agree that that's what I've seen in majority of cases, especially when it comes to medical area, treatment area, that obviously is a whole lot of regulations and testing and multiple levels of testing and so on. I think ma'am will be able to throw a lot more of light on that. Of course, apart from animal testing, that's another field altogether, right? I mean, that takes still more time. So I do agree with you on that. How to approach it? I think it's more a question of, we have to go case to case. I don't think it's easy to generalize, but we can generalize with some ifs and buts is, yeah, in software area or in other engineering fields like electronics and elsewhere, you can see it even in PhDs. A biology PhD will obviously takes 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. An IT PhD may be over in 3.5 years. You could see that, right? It's there for everyone to see. So with respect to how to approach the investment and the labs required and so on and so forth, I think it is wise to use facilities like what CCMB and NCBS and others are offering. So I think that's always a wise thing to do. I think it'll be quite some time before you can set up something of your own, or you could do one another thing. There may be opportunities for you to work with an industry who has got significant facilities themselves and ride on that. I'm taking an example of Biocon. Now, I know of 1 or 2 companies which are having small setups, which are developing some ideas in collaboration with Biocon. Obviously, that means IPs are surrendered and so on and so forth, or shared. So there are some implications there, but then you're able to progress with the project and you're able to be sure about your market testing and so on, because there's somebody who's going to bother about all that, right? So there could be ways by which, so I think it's more of a case-to-case thing that we can discuss. When it comes to the PhD versus non-PhD thing, I was exactly sitting on this question maybe about 10 years back, because my daughter was doing a PhD in microbiology, or rather cell biology, I think, yeah. And she was wondering the same question to do or not. She decided to do a PhD simply because of the same thinking. Of course, she finally took up a job. That's a different matter. My entrepreneurship thing didn't work there. But anyway, the point is that I see that many are, I think you may be able to better comment here, but at least what I have seen is, yeah, many people, because this is real technology that you're talking about and you need to understand that. And so it's much more specialized, at least, unless it comes to bioinformatics and computational biology and things like that. That's a different thing. But otherwise, the Wayne wet lab type of thing, I suppose a PhD gives you a little bit more of, I suppose, credibility or whatever. So maybe you're able to better comment on that now.
So as you were saying, is the correct only in the biology side, it is in a more expensive if you come up, was a good idea. But for that sake, only the CCMB is putting all the efforts because the facilities wise means if you go for the analytical ultracentrifuge, only ultracentrifuge, they costly more for the outsiders. So that's why the most of the MSMEs will prefer to be in the CCMB only. Means this all the sophisticated instruments are all there, so they can use freely as with the staff we are using there. So in that way, they can be benefited. But even though they have to buy few of the kits, biological kits, molecular biology kits and all the things, they are also costly. I can't say that they're cheap, but you have to be. So in that way, you can approach the CCMB. And for masters also, recently we have conducted one of the workshop like that, particularly biotechnology engineering students. They have come up with a very nice ideas actually in the agriculture. So they want to sprinkle the water from the top, actually, not in the center. With the drone, they want to sprinkle the water and all such crazy ideas. And one person has come, only the stitching, means the tailoring. It's a mobile tailoring, he says. So means for the middle class people, we may not prefer, but the high societies, Hyderabad, particularly in the Jubilee Hills and the Banjara Hills, it's the costliest area where most industrial people and all the rich people will be there. So he says he can have the mobile tailoring shop.
Mobile?
Tailoring shop.
Tailoring shop.
Yeah. So he says immediately if someone is want to attend the function, immediately the dress is not fitting or something. So if they call him, he will on the service on their door. So he can do it within 5-10 minutes. Such things are also the people are coming up with the ideas. So we are encouraging all such things also. And we'll especially for the Sparsh fellowships, we'll approve them for to write the project. Means they have to write the project and we have some rules and regulations for that. So we'll screen them and we'll ask them to present if they have been already done something. Then we'll give the chance to them be as MSMs. Yeah, in such a way, the students also can.
The issue of the laboratory costs and the gestation period. If it is biological sciences as applied to agriculture, maybe there are it may not take as long as what I think. I could be wrong. But what I have seen in terms of some personal experiences, I find that they're able to get to market faster because the levels of regulation are not as tight as in human beings, is what I understand. But again, things are changing. For example, the GM seeds and so on, that has gone through a big debate, right? So because there are other issues involved there. So in terms of gestation period, I thought I'll just make that comment. There may be more thoughts, ideas, and questions on. Yes, sir.
There was one portal called iSTEM, where they put the details of the equipment available with like CSIR or even like government organizations. So in case if somebody is interested to work with where they require some high costly infrastructure, like we can book actually. So iSTEM portal is there.
Okay.
iSTEM, ISTEM. You can just Google and then you can identify the what is the required testing facility you require. Then you'll get the details like who is who has that facility. You can book actually in online. Like you can go there and then do the work.
About the point that he has raised, whether will be value added for his entrepreneurship adventure to success. I personally feel, being myself a PhD, being PhD doesn't add much, because if you are a good entrepreneur, you will hire a PhD. So if your idea is good, you can generate money, because money is where actually everything runs. Because I am sustaining myself as well as my family as well as my business for last 5 to 6 years after leaving my very lucrative job. And I find it very difficult to run at some point of time. PhD doesn't help you. It is money which helps you. If you put that energy into generating money, creating right ideas and creating right financial aid, that will add more value to your entrepreneurial journey rather than being a PhD. Now, I am from a generation, I'm running 47, 48 now. I am from a generation which I think you also belong to. Lot many people who have done PhDs are not running enterprises. They are scared. They want jobs, secure jobs, and they want to live a good life. And at the end of the day, when it comes to Saturday and Sunday, we think about entrepreneurship. This is what happens with the PhD. So not to waste much time on PhD, but being a PhD and being an entrepreneur are two totally different things. This is what I personally believe. And they have nothing to do with each other.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear which branch you are. So I have spent 10 years in pharma, and considering, that's why I'm answering. Considering my experience, I've felt that it doesn't help you in your industrial job as such. You may get into the trap of doing PhD, then postdoc, then maybe you will get into academics. And it's good. It's good, but that track is different. It will make you research oriented.
I mean, this is interesting because I was doing a random, not a structured survey of the pharmaceutical companies and leaders there. There were a higher percentage of PhDs there in the US at least. There were also leaders, of course, one will look at Genentech or others, and they're all big time PhDs who are leading companies, right? But it points to one another thing. Whether we are a PhD or not a PhD, MTech or not an MTech or whatever, you need to have that business sense. So do we have what is business sense? It doesn't come from, I think it's something which we can develop and cultivate. We need to look for opportunity. We need to have the drive, of course, the basic drive must be there. Drive to do something positive. So in a very different area, we all complain about what's happening this way. So I'm from IIT Madras long back, and my alumni group, we always crib about, oh, this is bad, that is bad, air pollution, Delhi, etc. But what the heck are we doing about it? So if we have a problem is naturally, it's as you know, full of human beings, this world will have problems. But then those problems, are we doing something about it? Or just cribbing and complaining and feeling happy with passing some comments, that's not okay, right? So do we have the initiative to go and do something? So if in your case, like as an MTech student, this is something program that we thought we would do in IIT Gandhinagar. There are MTech students and there are PhD students and there are BTech students, of course. We thought that we will ask some of the industries people to come and say, what are their issues that they are facing in the market? Like Sir spoke about the pharmaceuticals and the APIs, which are getting imported. And there are multiple problems that the industry faces, and they are wanting solutions. Be it energy efficiency, be it whatever, be it information technology, be it chemicals, be it whatever else it is, there is enough of issues. So maybe out of that, there is something that strikes you, why not we try that? If you are able to think of something, so it's a sort of irrigating your brain with a flush of ideas, so that something may click, and then you may wish to think about it and see why can't we? So that curiosity, that factor, if that is ingrained, then I think a PhD or a non-PhD is a secondary question. Similarly, unit cost economics. At the same time, there are also the other type of, I won't say problem, but the pattern that I see. I sit through many presentations in a month from people who pitch their ideas, So they want money. Either it's a Nidhi Prayas grant or a private equity investment or whatever else it is. What I find is that very nice, glib, nice stuff, presentation-wise. But if you press it, there is nothing. So beware of that. Because they are very nice in talking, cash flows, win-win situation, paradigm shifts, and things like that. They're all nice words. But what do they mean in terms of customer problem, margins, unit cost economics? So be rooted on the ground, and then, that's what my experience has been. In fact, I would say that talking about IIT Gandhinagar's journey, the first 2 years, most of them were with respect to e-commerce. Everything, if you put on e-commerce, then you think you have made a new startup, But that doesn't work like that, right? So you need to have gelling volumes. You don't have, you have to create a platform, it requires certain thing. So we said absolutely no e-commerce if there is no meat in it. And I don't think we have supported even one. So we passed that phase. Then we had a whole lot of ideas with respect to this was I think blockchain. Yeah, about 3-4 years back, everything was about blockchain. Anything I do with blockchain, that will be better. How does it happen? It doesn't happen like that, right? And we did programs with in this institute with on blockchain technology. We had people from US who had come in and explained what is blockchain and how can it be used and so on. I agree that blockchain will be a solution in certain situations, and we need to be understanding the market for that. So being obsessed with being fascinated by some technology or some nice jargon of that moment, of that season, or whatever is of that season, and then applying that everywhere. So that's another type of pitfall that we have seen happening. So as long as we are conscious of these and we have the drive to go and achieve, then a PhD or a postdoc doesn't really, I completely go with that. So.
The story happened with me, actually. Recently, 2 months back, the project which I presented that is Regolith. We launched a product. It was presented during the Man Excel, that is the Science and Technology Park, that they conduct a session where the investors, VCs, and all the angels, they come. They sit together for almost 10 to 12 hours during the day. It was a rigorous session. They grill everyone, and after that, they sort out some people. They are interested in it. So there are 3 people they have sorted us out, and they interacted us with us. One of them, they have crossed 2 sessions, and in the 3rd session they called us in the same week in the evening time for a fine dine and wine and lunch dinner. वहाँ पे 2 घंटा बात हुई. They were rigorously, what the project that we pitched was about polymer synthesis, and that we want to get finance for. And he was after the Regolith. After Regolith, which was already launched.
Regulation.
No, Regolith, the product, because my project was having 2 parts. One is already a product, and another is a potential product. So the finances, it is very difficult to understand, because that part is very brutal. That part of the business is very cruel sometimes. This is what I feel. There is no sympathy, there is no soft corner for anything. They want 30% of your margin, at least 40%, 30%, and then only they can settle. So unless and until somebody, postdoc don't understand it. So मुझे थोड़ा समझ में आया, क्योंकि I have carried out some 2 or 3 different type of session. That's the reason I feel that PhD is not really relevant for such kind of trajectories of the learning curves, rather than being a financial person.
Sir, with all permission, I will say something which is not subjective, beside the subject. It is like the differentiated question to come into a modality which is an integration and which is entrepreneurship and businessman. Whether PhD or no PhD, if you want to be perfect businessman, any of the time, either you have to do PhD and start business, or otherwise during entrepreneurship, you will have a tendency to become PhD. Otherwise, you are not complete. Just I'm just citing my own experience. After my BTech in chemical engineering, I was in a very good company for 10 years. But I have seen that if I develop anything, nobody believes, because I am not PhD. So I left. Yeah. You may not get the degree. No. Yeah. So I am just sharing something which is very interesting.
Yeah, so the experience itself is a degree. Maybe hard copy of the degree sometimes is not.
Yeah, see, degree is not the all. Degree is not the all. First of all, sir, if anyone wants to become entrepreneur, he has to believe that both sides of the coin is not head. There is a risk, calculated risk. So it is, entrepreneur is technologically sound, financially sound, marketing ability should be very strong and legal should be very strong. And it is not possible by a person who is technical. So to understand the entire modality, you have some degree where you will approach somebody and after seeing your visiting card, he will just allow you to listen. That is what is the necessity of PhD. Just believe me. In 2000
To add one more thing. In CCMB also we have one MSN. The person is only MBA background, not even a PhD, but he had a very good idea. So he has hired only from the CCMB only has hired PhD students, 3 of them, and he made them to work actually. And he has a very good communication skills. He's getting the money from the US, the funding. So you should have a clarity and the mental strength to do what, and you have to focus what you want to do.
I think it's difficult
That
to
will be
generalize. Yeah, it's difficult to generalize.
Yeah.
I suppose we have Narayan Murthy, who's not a PhD. And I've got a friend, Dr. Narayan, he founded a company, Metahelix. He's a PhD. He's got a business sense too. So it's very difficult to generalize. We should not get into the trap of discussing this beyond a point. I think Chinmay will kill me if I tell him that don't do PhD, because all his students are doing PhDs. So I think
both
he's
is
already
addiction,
done it.
addiction. Both is addiction.
He's already
Business
done
is
it.
entrepreneurship is also addiction. PhD is also addiction.
But there is one thing that I thought. Yesterday we were talking and she said, can we register for a PhD while following through the company? By all means.
Yeah.
But
But that's because of my age, not because it should be done.
Yeah. Let me leave you with one thought. We talked about entrepreneurship. That's where we started, right? The US students. Oh, sorry, please.
Related to the same topic which you are discussing. Actually, when we call for the startups from the CRTDH or even from the institute level also, like many startups has come like a service-based startups. Like, can you give some inputs like how we can create an ecosystem? So wherein like deep startups will come into picture, like, so deep startups, I mean, tech startups, deep tech startups.
Yeah.
Because when we are calling for any ideas, like a kind of like Uber kind of solutions, like they are bringing service-based solutions, but we are like one person or even less than one person, we are getting like a deep tech startups. Like what is like, you please give your inputs like how to create ecosystem wherein we invite the students, like wherein the students bring like deep tech startups.
Any comments you'd like to make?
You could just know.
Okay, so I'll share with you I'll share with you the experience that we have had with Boeing. I am going about how do we approach the technology specific rather than deep tech. I mean, it's practically the same thing. So when the Boeing program was the first year was done, it was a sort of agnostic to the type of domain in which you have to operate. It didn't have to be aerospace. It didn't have to be space. It could be anything. So we also had people who were trying to optimize on flights. So the operations versus problem or things of that type. It was very wide. Next year, they improved upon it a little. They continued with year 1 model largely. Year 3 this year, which is currently going on, or third cycle, they have become far more specific. So you need to be on aerospace engineering or on this vertical or on vertical. So one is, even as you call for applications, you may like to be specific. That's one. The second is, of course, by the way you behave or the way you filter out and the way you accept is what sets the ground for the next time. In IIT Gandhinagar, as you observe today, 50%, 60% of what we get are largely technology dependent, technology significant portion. Plain market type of thing is very little. Maybe out of 10, maybe we'll get 2. But others are all technology driven. It could be information technology. It could be still be an algorithm driven something, whatever. But at least it's technology driven and it's got large impact on the society. That's something which one thought I thought I could leave you with as we conclude was entrepreneurial mindset. Now, an entrepreneurial mindset you need if you are a student, if you are an employee in a company, and of course, if you are an entrepreneur. So sir spoke about margins and cash flows and so on and so forth, understanding that, etc. That sort of thing, an entrepreneurial mindset you need to have even when you are in an employment. An employment in today's world, an employment you may think is I go there, spend 30 days and I get some salary and I'm happy. Those were possibly the earlier days. Today, the jobs that you're going to take up, your boss is going to expect you to do certain things in a particular way. You cannot say that you didn't tell me that. I mean, he expects you to go ahead and scan the environment, your environment, locate issues, and then go ahead and try to address them proactively rather than being told and then do some firefighting. So what the boss tells you is much smaller in volume. The unexpressed anticipatory type of expectations are much higher. And if you don't do that, we will not progress in the career. I mean, that's the issue, you know. So if you want to progress in your career, you need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. So whether we are employed in Tata and in Steel, or whether we are running a company of our own for spent acid treatment, either way, we need to have that mindset. That's the point.